Hi there, welcome back to Aidans Railways. It's just a bit of an update, some new arrivals and just some projects that are coming up. I thought I'd get in touch because quite frankly it's been a couple of weeks and there's a very good reason for that. I have had to return to work and it's been alright. I was a little worried, a bit concerned, but it has not been too bad. But I've had to return to work, so time is much less now compared to what it was over lockdown. So, but yeah, we'll go down to the mat on the table and I'll explain what I've got a hold of, what my plans are for certain things, and what's coming up. In my eyes, I think it's what a lot of people have been waiting for. I've had some comments asking about, you know, when we're going to see the layout and things like that. So the truth is, it's getting built. It's going to be bigger than it was originally going to be, but I'll elaborate into that as we go down onto the mat. I hope you're all doing well. It's getting a bit scary again now, so yes. I'll join you back down on the table with the mat and I'll show you what's been arriving and what's coming up. So there's been a few new arrivals. I say new arrivals, some have been here for a week, 2 weeks and things like that, but it's just I've never got round to actually doing this video with returning to work. So it's no big shock. Bachmann announced the EFE rail models and if you were AD Pullen, he contacted me straight away to let me know that they were producing a Longmoor locomotive, and I immediately pre-ordered with Nick at Durham Trains of Stanley. I also ordered another one as well, and I was in no rush, and I obviously had to return to work and things like that, so it's took a little while for me to actually just get a video up and actually collect them. But obviously you'll have seen the boxes. There we go. I've got to admit, I really do like these boxes. They're very strong and sturdy, and I really like the inside, to tell you the truth. This foam, really well looked after. Now you can see here it's empty, but there's a reason for that. I did a little video the other day. Well, I didn't intend to do the video, but it happened anyway. I just wanted to see how many J94s I had. It doesn't actually have all of them on. It started to run out of room on the shelf, but you'll probably see it on the screen here. But I just wanted to see how many of the Longmoor ones there were. But functional ones anyway. There are a few more in boxes. But this is the Longmoor one that arrived, 195. I've got to say, it's very nice. There are obvious detail differences in the sense that it's a little bit more fine and things like that. I must admit, I was a bit shocked when I saw inside here, and I'm not entirely sure it'll show it up, to be honest. But the glazing is huge. It's massive. I think that lets it down just a little bit. But I'm not that bothered. To be honest with you, I'm not going to be staring inside the cab all the time, and by the time there's a crew put in, I'm barely going to notice it. But it is very, very nice. Obviously, it's DCC ready, and apparently you just pull off the smoke box door here, which I'm not going to do because the dart on the front is incredibly fine, and I don't want to break it. It's got your NEM pocket, couplings, all that sort of stuff. It is actually really, really nice. But one of the things that struck me was, and I couldn't get over it, when I picked it up out of the packaging, it's actually incredibly light in comparison to the old Daypol and the Hornby model. It's incredibly light. I can't get over it. So I'm hoping that it still has plenty of weight anyway for pulling power. But I had to get one, and it meant it was one less to have to renumber and things like that. As always, the shade's ever so slightly different to the shade on other ones. A prime example would be Basra here, the shade of blue. I mean, I know for a fact the shade changed at Longmoor. I've read up quite a bit on it. But it is a lovely loco. It's really nice. Very glad I got it. There's a detail pack there as well for the actual free-link couplings and brake pipes and all that sort of thing. But that is really, really nice. I'm glad I purchased it. But on top of that one, there was another J94 that I thought I would get a hold of. And it's this one. It is a 92 Wagoner. In its earlier days would have been 192, but this is obviously much later on. I just like the look of it, to be honest. It won't necessarily fit in with the era of the other ones, but it's very nice. I thought I'll get a hold of it. Lots of detail in these packs as well, and you can, I don't know if you'll be able to see there, but the actual nameplates are there. They're just not fitted. Lots of detail to be fitted on. I really do like the packaging, mind, on these EFE rail items. Very well looked after, but there we go. We've RB 92. Like I say, it would have been 192 once over, but pretty much identical to the Longmoor one. Just a few more embellishments, like the white lined wheels. The actual pipes have been picked out there with paint as well, and so has the reversing gear. But it is very nice. Really happy with them. I'm hoping, I would like to think, that Bachmann EFE Rail Kerno, they would release some more. It'd be nice to see some of these J94s in various other guises, like the Carpy Sand, the grey, even some more Longmoor ones potentially, I suppose. That could be very nice. But yes, so they're a couple of the new additions to the layout, and I can't seem to get everything back in here again now. Packed well, but it's a balancing act to get it all on. Right, yes, I think we're one there now. Okie dokie. So I got these the two J94s. I wasn't in a rush to put them online. I suspect there are, I haven't actually had a look, but I suspect there are copious amounts of videos in relation to their release. I did actually have a look at one video on DCC sound fitting, and that was very nice. While I was in Dome Trains of Stanley, I noticed a couple of second-hand 08s. There's a few pieces missing off this one, and to be honest, I didn't pay very much for it. I think I paid about £30, if that, maybe a little bit less, because I did buy a few other things. It runs, it's fine, it's Bachmann. Some of the handrails are missing in the rear steps and the ladders at the front here. I'm absolutely not bothered at all. I can make handrails. I've got plenty of the steps and things like that. But there is a reason why I bought it. I've not suddenly decided I'm going to have a Gronk fetish or anything like that. The real reason for it is, during lockdown, I was lucky enough to be able to get a hold of Basra here. It's few and far between. It really is. It's a tough one to get a hold of. And you've all seen it in other videos where I've looked at it and things like that. And we all know that this is an 08 shell and things like that. Longmoor, in its time, actually had a few of these there, one of which was completely written off. But there was, more notably, was 876, which was Barry. And obviously this one is 878 Basra. So I'm really happy to have that. During lockdown, I got a bit bored. And I actually started using an old shell, an old railroad 08, and actually did repaint it completely. This was actually an Anglia colours, and I just did it as an experiment. To be honest, I didn't think I was going to get a hold of 878, and that's there. I mean, to be honest, Aidan will probably get this. He'll probably be allowed. I'll probably just give this to Aidan, because what I am effectively going to do is make 876 Barry using this as the donor. So being able to pick up a nice cheap donor that only just needs a few handrails and that fitting, which, to be honest, I'm going to have to remove all of that stuff anyway, with pretty much the bulk of it, to do the repaint. So there'll be a video coming up when I do the repaint on that, but there's no rush for it. Like I say, Aidan will probably end up getting to adopt this one, and because it's not going to fit in, it would look ridiculous next to this much superior quality model with that there as well. So that was boredom during lockdown. But yes, we have a potential donor now for making Barry. I've got to say, I have thought about it for a while doing it. It's just the one thing that put me off was paying. The one thing that put me off was paying silly sums of money just to basically completely change the entire guise of a model and not knowing if it would work. And this was actually really quite simple. Like I say, this was the experiment. This was to see how easy it would be to actually paint the body shell and things like that using different techniques I've never used before. So that's what's going to happen to this one, and some Gronk lovers will be screaming, "Oh, you're destroying a Gronk," but not bothered. It's going to re-enter life as something completely different. Coming up, I've got a video on building Aidans Station. There's been setbacks over the last year or something with actually building Aidan's and Katie's layout, the main one, and we've had lockdown, we've had numerous other things that have took place that have just basically held that off altogether. Trying to get a hold of wood was a complete nightmare during lockdown. But just as I was about to start actually assembling the modules that I've been designing and building, we actually ended up having the ability to have a far bigger space to build the layout. So just as I was about to build the modules, I've stopped everything because suddenly I've gained access to another room, which now gives us in comparison, for a child or for a young person anyway, it's a really big room for a layout. So all of the plans for the original layout are still fine. They can be adapted into it, but I'll be doing a video on one of the software programs I've been using to help me design the layouts themselves. As a result, I've actually started work now on Aidans Station. So there's going to be a number of videos coming up on building Aidans Station. It's a bit like upscaling or recycling, however you want to put it. I'm going to be using a huge amount of second-hand Hornby and other manufacturers' products, things that have been picked up over the last couple of years that I've just slowly built up on purpose, with always having the plan of building this sort of station. As I've said in other videos, Aidan sort of gave me a design brief on what he kind of wanted. Obviously, Aidan has a lot of Thomas and Friends locos and rolling stock. It's not about building the Island of Sodor. Let me just get that out there now. There are going to be things that look very similar, but it's certainly in no way building it, because trying to replicate something like that is just ridiculous. At the same time, I want to be able to make it, and Aidan agreed with me, so that as time goes on, and he doesn't necessarily want trains with faces on running around his track, that any other kind of model would happily sit on that layout and run around. So very, very shortly, a lot of prep work's been going in. I've had to wait for a lot of paints and different things like that, a lot of consumables. I'm getting to start the videos now for this station. It's not a how-to, it's just how I'm doing it. So if you get anything from it, that's great. I'm going to be doing a lot of techniques that I've never ever done before, and just to try and get the most out of what is effectively what you call cheap and the usual nothing special kind of models, making them into something that is really quite special. So that's coming up soon. Another thing that has entered the collection. Obviously, you've got all the Longmoor logos and things like that. And if anyone's seen the Great St. Trinian's train robbery, you'll remember there was 2 schoolgirls on one of the hand carts on the track, chasing along, changing points and things like that. And I was ordering some bits and pieces from Peter's Spares, and they had this Fala kit, which is basically the same thing. I mean, obviously it's going to be HO, but it'll work. It was about £3, absolutely nothing. So if you fancy one, get yourself onto Peter Spare's website. £3 for this little kit. It's not motorised or anything, but there's a part of me that says, wouldn't it be funny just to get 2 smaller figures and put them on there and paint them up like the 2 St. Trinians. They were a bit scruffy schoolgirls, I remember vividly, with the straw hats, and just have them there at the side. I think that would be quite amusing just to have that on the layout as well. So I've picked that up as well. That's a nice little item that's come into the collection. But yes, that's about it for a little update. There are videos coming up very, very shortly in relation to this build in the station, and it won't be one video, it's going to be multiple videos, because it's not huge, but it's certainly bigger than I would imagine some people or some children have their stations on their model railways and things like that. And I just think it's an interesting way to show people that you don't just have to take it out the packet or pick it up second hand and just use it as it is. They can be, so much more can be done to them to make them look so much better. So yes, that's it. If you've got any comments, any suggestions, anything like that, anything to do with the EFE rail models, anything to do with my project when converting this into 876, or anything like that, or just if you've got any questions about how I was doing this, I mean, like I say, this is just a basic model. It's nothing flash. It is just a railroad shunter. That's all it is, and I just did a few bits and pieces. It got very boring during lockdown, I would imagine you all know. But yes, I shall see you again soon, and thank you for watching. Bye now.